Josh here. Did you enjoy that thumbnail? That was courtesy of Too Fluent, who took some time out of his busy schedule making repairs to homes down in Florida to put that little thing together. And before anyone's like, oh, are you guys like at a impasse of some kind? No, he was just making fun of me in a good old-fashioned, chummy way. So really appreciate that. I thought it was pretty cool. So I decided to, I'll just make it a thumbnail. Why not? In any case, so since my last video, things have been pretty ugly. We went from a $10,000 foil alpha stone on October 22nd to a $2,700 alpha foil stone in late November. So things have been real fantastic. For those of you who've been on the Discords and the Facebook pages, it's just been ugly. A lot of folks expressing a lot of anger with the beta reprint. And obviously I've talked about that and the positives, the negatives, and really at this point I think we're all just in a holding pattern. All markets move up and down, and I've seen a lot of arguments that really alpha was too inflated to begin with. And when I think about it, the idea that I could trade a foil alpha stone for a couple of, well-played unlimited moxes, maybe it was a little too high. But that being said, the alpha market has pretty much taken a huge nosedive, and the more expensive the card, the worse the fall. So I can understand why the folks who have put a lot of money into alpha are upset. Nobody likes to see what they bought go down in value, whether it's a stock or a card or any other type of collectible out there. And for those of you who are like, well, you shouldn't expect a cardboard piece of printed paper to have any value anyhow, well, I guess that's the way you see the world, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, this game is supposed to be collectible. And typically, with collectability comes financial value. Now, you all know I'm not a big, this is an investment, but I am a person who thinks that the cards should have some value. So, to see the value of these cards, especially alpha, the set that was supposed to be the be-all, end-all of collectability, take such a huge nosedive, I get why a lot of people are upset. Now, I never bought any high-end alpha stuff. I was fortunate enough to pull the only foil stone, alpha stone that I have. I pulled it out of the box. And so, to me, it's no loss other than, what I paid for that box, basically. And that really was the only decent thing in that whole box, as I recall, because that box was pretty ugly. But at the end of the day, I get why the alpha folks are upset. There was a decrease for many of the high-end cards of 50 to 66% in terms of value. And that's ugly. Nobody wants to see that. And obviously, there were a lot of optics issues with the announcement of the beta reprint, as I've mentioned previously. They announced the beta reprint the same day that Wave 2 hit, and Wave 2 was being dumped. So it just all looked far, far more worse than it really was. But as a result, now we're seeing alpha just taking a huge tumble. Fortunately, the prices of the boxes really haven't gone down as much as I thought they might. I really thought we'd see a 50, maybe 60% decrease, but boxes are still holding out at around 800, 700 from what I've seen. I know some folks are offering a lot less than that, and they say they're getting them at that price, and that's fine. If people want to cash out, that's their choice. But I still think most boxes are holding kind of at that 800 range. Is this good for the health of the game? I don't know. I do think that collectors and even people that would be coined as investors are an important part of the entire sorcery community. You know, many folks don't like individuals who go out and buy 1,000 boxes and put them on a shelf somewhere. But at the end of the day, we do have to realize that was a lot of profit for Ars Curiosa. Those 1,000 boxes, if there's a few individuals doing that, or a few individuals doing 100 boxes or whatever, probably more than the few at the 100, that's a lot of profit for Ars Curiosa. So for those of you who are like, well, those people are terrible individuals or whatever, guys, they create a lot of money for Ars Curiosa. They create a lot of money that they can then reinvest into the game so that we get more sets and more cool cards. So you can hate them as much as you want, but they are just as important to the community as players. And you all know that I pretty much like every part of the community. I judge a lot of events. I just helped virtually judge the Siege at the Core this past Saturday. I like to play. I don't get to play very much because I do tend to judge a lot, but I do really enjoy playing. And I've been able to get events going here in my local area. We don't have a lot of folks yet, but we're building. But I also enjoy the collecting aspect. Now, I don't go in for high-end foils. I tend to go in for artist proofs, original paintings, those types of things. So a foil crash doesn't impact me as much. But I feel for those people who spent a lot of money collecting a lot of these hard-to-find cards. You can't just wander around and find many of the foil alpha uniques. They're just not offered that often, at least up until recently. So I certainly understand why the collector side is very upset with what happened. I hope they come back. I hope they stick around. I know some collectors who are like, this is just short-term noise. Everything's going to be fine. And I love those people. You know, those people who are reasonable, who sit back and, you know, it's going to be fine. But I've talked to some other collectors and they're out. They're just out. They're done. They feel like promises have been broken, or Ars Curiosa isn't going to be able to manage this beta reprint properly. It's going to devalue the cards into where they're worthless. And they've invested potentially thousands and thousands of dollars buying what they were told was a collectible, highly collectible game. So I understand why those folks are angry. Now, how they're expressing that anger is a whole different ballgame. There's a lot of people who are just going on and shouting basically into the nothingness of the internet, and it's only causing more issues in all the communities that we have. And to be fair, it probably is driving off new players who are coming into those communities and looking around and they're like, nah, there's something wrong here. These people are a little crazy. So I see all of the positives, the negatives. I see it all. But overall, I don't know how we're going to come out of this. I don't know how we're going to land. And I do have one big concern about the beta reprint. Even though this video was mostly about alpha and what has happened to alpha and collectability and all those things. If there's going to be a beta reprint, presumably that hasn't happened yet. Now maybe it has, but presumably it hasn't. And they're going to do another reprint. And then they're going to have to ship it over here or ship it wherever they're shipping it and then distribute it and all those things. And I'm like, is there enough time? I mean, if beta hits, let's say this new reprint happens, despite what a lot of people don't want or do want, and it happens, and we get it, I don't know, let's say it comes in July. Just given time frames, I feel like that's probably a pretty decent estimate. Maybe they can get it done faster, but there's Chinese New Year. That's going to shut down everything for a while. So, you know, maybe it's easier. I don't know. Maybe they can get it here as early as April. But even then, what does that mean for set 3? Why are we doing a reprint of beta that's going to hit, if it's July, hopefully 3 or 4 months before set 3? Is that wise? I don't know. Maybe. I guess I could see it. You bring in a bunch of new players, and then they've immediately got something to be excited about in set 3. But it also makes me wonder, is this Eric's Curios's way of telegraphing that, hey, set 3, it's not going to come real soon? Is this Eric's Curios's way of saying, it's a big set? The last big set we made took longer than expected to get in everyone's hands. Is set 3 2026 now? I don't know. Maybe it's just late 2025, like November, December. Maybe it's not. I'm just speculating. It just seems a little odd to me when I thought about that. Beta reprint, by the time it gets here, set 3 should be pretty close. Is all that wise? I don't know. It's just me speculating, wondering. Things are just a mess. And I've done a lot of thinking. I've been on the communities and stuff, but I haven't really been as active, I guess, answering as many questions or being as involved as I usually am. Life, you get busy. But when I think about this beta reprint, if it's not already been ordered, if it's not already being done, how long? How long is it going to be till it gets here? And then what does that mean for set 3? Is that taking up printing capacity that could be used for set 3? I don't know. I guess that's kind of a sidetrack. That isn't what this was supposed to be about, but it's just one of those things that's really been gnawing at me. What does this beta reprint mean for set 3? Does it, is it the timeline issue that now they know set 3 is going to maybe not be in late 2025? I want Gen Con. That's what I want. I want Gen Con. I want the set to come out at Gen Con. I think that'd be great. And I don't know anything, obviously. I'm just speculating. But it does make me wonder the timing, if this beta reprint isn't already happening, how that's going to work out. I don't know. But anyhow, back to alpha. Yeah, it hurts. And I feel for all of you who took the time to put together a complete alpha foil set, or who took the time to maybe collect some play sets of certain cards in alpha and all of that. Now, the good news is it looks like things are starting to stabilize. But how long is it going to take to recover? Who knows? How many people did we lose forever? Who knows? People come and go. As long as we can grow the game, it'll be fine. I just hope we can grow the game. I hope the beta reprint that is planned actually works out the way it's supposed to. But just in terms of what we've seen happen now, I think we've lost some people. We've probably lost some people who were not good for the health of the game, but I think there are some people who were good for the health of the game that may be out. And I think that's really the unfortunate thing, is that some individuals who have loved this game and supported it and been a part of our community, they may be gone forever. And that is the most unfortunate part of what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Well, that's it. Keep on contesting the realm.